Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back to another episode of the Your Grey Matters podcast. My name is Jason, here as always with your host, my dad, Neil. How you doing, Dad?
I'm doing great, Jason. Hi,
Good.
everybody. Welcome back.
Good. And today, let's just get it started. We've got something really important we need to talk about.
The number one responsibility of the federal government of Canada is to ensure the safety and security of all Canadians. Today, we want to welcome Gustavo Rymberg, CEO of the Hamilton Jewish Federation, and we're going to discuss, is the Canadian government doing this for all Canadians?
Yeah, so we hope you give this episode a full watch. It's really important, or a full listen. And while you're doing that, please remember to hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. Do you feel safe in today's Canada? Do you feel safe in your neighborhood? Do you feel safe going downtown in your city? Let us know in the comments. These things are incredibly important. Other than that, I think it's time that we get to this very important topic, don't you?
I do, and thank you, everybody.
Here we go with Gustavo Rymberg on Your Grey Matters.
Hi, everybody. I'm Neil from the Your Grey Matters podcast. Thanks for coming back. We wanted to let you know that we have a very wonderful guest here tonight. His name is Gustavo Rymberg, and Gustavo is the CEO of the Hamilton Jewish Federation. Hamilton, yes, the great city of Hamilton, near Toronto, with a better football team than they have. And I wanted to say to you that the Jewish community, believe it or not, has been in this country for about 265 years. We are founders and builders of Canada. And I'm going to say we because I'm proudly a member of the Jewish community. We have been founders and builders of Canada, and we've been part of the Canadian fabric since before this country was created. When Jewish Canadians face anti-Semitism, whether it's in our schools, our workplaces, or places of worship, it is not only a Jewish problem, everybody. This is a Canadian problem. And if any of our communities feel unsafe, then all Canadians are less safe. I am so thrilled to have Gustavo Rymberg join us. Good evening, Gustavo. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for the invitation. A pleasure to be with you.
We are really honored to have you. Gustavo Rymberg, by the way, is originally from Argentina. He's an immigrant to our great country, and he came in 1997 with his wife and daughters through Winnipeg's Grow Winnipeg initiative. He's a former graphic designer. He transitioned into Jewish communal leadership, serving in Winnipeg, Ottawa, and Toronto before becoming the CEO of the Hamilton Jewish Federation in 2017. Under his leadership, the Federation has grown in fundraising and programming, advanced Holocaust education through initiatives like Margaret's Legacy, and strengthened community resilience during times of crisis. Just recently, and you know him well, Member of Parliament Dan Muse was pleased to present Gustavo with his award, the King Charles III Coronation Medal, for his contributions to combating hate and building community. Gustavo, welcome again to the Your Grey Matters podcast. We are thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you for the nice introduction.
So, Gustavo, for those who are listening and watching us, and thank you, everybody, let's talk a bit about what is the Jewish Federation? What is the Hamilton Jewish Federation? What's it for? What is the purpose of it?
Well, let me tell you that the Hamilton Jewish Federation that I came to 8 years ago, it's not the Hamilton Jewish Federation that we are having today. It's not for the job that I did, but because, we have to adapt to many, many changes that they are unexpected and we never thought it's going to happen. So the role of the Federation, number one, is to make sure for the safety and the well-being of the Jewish community. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter who you are. Support every Jewish member and create connections with the community, the other communities, other minorities, and the community at large. We have to support our all agencies, and if it's possible, create new ones, but make sure that we fulfill all the needs of the Jewish members in Hamilton, in this case. What I'm saying that we change is think about the last 8 years. So I was talking to someone today, and I say the first 2 years were the only ones that I was doing the job that I was signed for. Because right after that, we have to change our life. We have to adapt to the COVID reality. We finish with COVID. We have the Ukraine situation. And after Ukraine, October 7 came. So it's very, very, very different realities in a very short period of time. And the role of the federation, and I think that it's the most important one, is to adapt to the change that they are going to affect the well-being of the Jewish community. So for the past 2 years, fighting anti-Semitism is priority number one. But I mean, those needs and those priorities will evolve and will change according to the circumstances. We are not isolating ourselves. We live in a very complicated reality, in a very complicated country. It's not the same country that I moved 29 years ago. So I think adaptation is one of the main qualities that we have to have as an organization.
And I wanted to ask you about that actually, Gustavo, because you are an immigrant to our country and you're a wonderful success story. And thank you for coming here. But I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about immigration today to Canada, what people are going through, policies, anything that strikes you now as an immigrant, even though you've been here for such a long time.
I think the immigration process changed a lot, and I was very fortunate that I came to Canada with the support, not financial, not economical support, but with the, I will say, legal or maybe communal support of the Winnipeg Jewish Federation. But we have to go through the process. We have to go apply for our papers. It's a period of 6 months that we have to go to the embassy, do everything that was required in order for us to come. And we did that. And for me, that was the law. That's what we have to do. That was legal immigration it's about. And I never thought about not doing the right thing. That again was like 28, 29 years ago. And I think the reality now is different. I'm not sure all the change. I mean, there was a lot of changes in the immigration model, but as the Hamilton Jewish Federation, I think that we have the moral obligation to support all the Jewish immigrants and all the Israeli immigrants that they are coming to Hamilton. So whatever we can do, we'll do to support them. Unfortunately, there's some, I would say, some gaps or some problems when you arrive to the country. I think that there's some misinformation. People think that they come to Canada, that it's going to be very easy to find a job, that it's going to be very easy to access to the first house or access to a mortgage. They think that the medical system, the health system is working and it's good and it's free. And we all know that it's not such as. So I think that it's hard for someone, like, for example, in my case, when I moved to Argentina, I have to adapt it to a lot of things that were very, very different. And not only with the health system, but also security, fighting anti-Semitism. There are things that they are very different. At the same time, Canada has a lot of good things to offer, and it's a country with very good opportunities. I was working very hard, but at the same time, I think that I was very lucky to have the opportunities that I had. But nothing is free, and I think that the Canada that I arrived, like I said before, 29, almost 30 years ago, it's not the same. No, things we have to admit that for a new immigrant right now, finding a house, it's a problem. It's a problem for the majority of Canadians. It's going to be an extra problem for an immigrant to access to rent, to access to a proper medical system, proper education. In our case, if we like Jewish education, is not affordable for everyone. We make every effort to support all the families that they are in need, but it's tough. It's different. It's different, and depends where you're coming from. This can be paradise or not.
I think too, in the last number of years, certainly recently, we've brought in a lot of immigrants, and I don't think that we planned well for people coming in the numbers that have come, and that's certainly public knowledge. Housing is a problem. The cost of food is a problem. Jobs are a problem. It is an issue. I'm glad certainly that you're successful, and ironically, you are now sitting in a position like so many of leaders in our country, not just in the Jewish community, but across Canada, who are helping immigrants in dealing with these challenges and helping with the really harsh challenges that can come along with the really glorious opportunities in our country. We are certainly still a wonderful country of opportunities, but people need help. And it's interesting, everybody, because if someone wants to reach out officially to the Hamilton Jewish community, they normally do it through the Federation. I'm talking about Jewish and non-Jewish communities, doesn't matter. And in fact, in Canada, we have a number of Jewish federations. And I would just say this, folks, it's an important part of the Jewish community to be approached and for us to reach out, but we're Canadians and we just happen to have a Jewish religion. And that's where I want to go today, Gustavo. We bear in mind what the government we believe is supposed to be doing, which, and I mean not just the present government, every government in Canada, is to be supportive and protective of all Canadian citizens in this country. The question for this evening is the present one doing it? There is an amazing amount of growing hatred of Jewish people in this country, levels that we have not seen, some people say, since the Second World War. And Gustavo, I don't know if you have figures in front of you, but the growth of anti-Semitic activities has been massive in this country recently. Can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Yeah, it's every year. Unfortunately, the Jewish community is at top one of hate crime incidents in Hamilton, for sure, and increasing like at absurd number. The problem, I think, you ask if the government is supporting, is helping. I think that it's not only what the government is doing or not. I think that the problem is that at one point there are things that have to be changed. And this is my challenge, like something really difficult for me to deal with. Sometimes I see they are afraid to make a change. And there's some changes that they are necessary. Like in the case of security, I mean, to protect ourselves from anti-Semitic attacks or anti-Semitic incidents, we have to pay from our own security in order for feel safe. And it's not feel safe for small things, to send the kids to school. I remember that after October 7, we have to, what was a big, big shock for me to understand the reality of how the police is working, how the security is working. And I think that there are changes that has to happen. So that's one of the problems. I think that we're a small number in the big number. The Jewish community is not going to make a difference maybe in an election. It's not going to, maybe in some areas, but not in the federal level. Okay? We're a small number compared with other communities. Think that also another issue is the bystanders, like what means protect to this community and what means to protect this community. and it's a problem. All these manifestations happening. We know that the protest, the pro-Palestinians protest, and I think I have to be upfront and honest, they are illegal in the way that they are taking place. You know, it's illegal in Canada to protest with your face covered. Okay, we are allowed, not we, but the authorities or the security authorities of the police, for any reason, for any excuse, they allow that to happen. So that has to change. If there is a rule, if there is a law, implement it. Okay, and it's not happening. So that's a little bit of the bystanders issues that I'm experiencing here in Canada. The same in what we can say, what we can say, what we cannot say. If I'm going to the middle of the street and I'm going to say, I know, from here to there, this group of people out of this country, I will be for sure reprimanded. For sure, something is going to happen to me. The police is going to come to me because I became racist and became, I don't know, all the bad things that you can imagine. But it's not happening when it's happened to us. So if you ask me, what's the solution for that? I would say, be strong and apply the rules, the laws that exist, because they are, like you say, to protect all of us in the same way, and it's not happening.
First of all, Gustavo, of course, is correct in everything that he says with this. We're a small Jewish community in this country. We're under 400,000 people. That's all that we are. And the idea that we have had our private day schools have bullets be shot through them, Jewish businesses with demonstrations outside so that customers can't get through, synagogues attacked, security issues, and there hasn't been much response to this from the government of Canada. And I'm just calling them out from the point of view that we're supposed to be a society of law. And I've had many friends of mine who are not Jewish reach out to me, and they're concerned. They're concerned for the Jewish community, but they're concerned for Canada because it doesn't just stay with one community. And Gustavo is right. People coming to this country, if they're here to build a life and to be part of Canada and be a part of our framework, God bless them. Let's get them. I'd love hearing when good people come to this country, but there has been an ability in the last number of years to bring in a group of people who don't wish to live under Canadian standards. Yes,
Neil,
Gustavo,
but I think
sorry.
that in the immigration issue, we have to make a clear definition. Who is a legal immigrant and who is a refugee? Because that's part of the problem too.
All right.
Okay, so I think that if you go through the process of the legal immigration to Canada, there's some guarantees that you are here for good, to do what you like to do, to be part of the Canadian society, and to help this country. Now, when you're coming to the refugees, it's a different issue, because I don't know how much control is taking place to apply as a refugee. So that's a problem. But also, I think there's another issue with the refugees. You cannot be a refugee for life, correct? At one point, if the circumstances change in your country, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a law that your refugee status ends. So are we applying that or not? That's a question that I don't know if I can answer. But the other thing that I like to clarify, Neil, is like with the government, I think that we have to be, there's a clear problem with the government. I think it's something that we have to face. But it's not only the federal government. I think that we have to start from low, okay? The cities, the city
From
halls,
municipal?
the police on each of the cities, the other non-profit organizations that they are part of, or government providing services. So there is something that everyone can do, and for some reason they are afraid to do it or afraid to implement the proper laws. So I think that it's kind of like a cycle, you know. It's like from top down and down up, because I mean it's all level of governments that they have to be fighting this disaster.
Yes, I would agree. All levels of government have to, because different police forces, as you said, how they relate, the laws of this country, this province, our own community of Hamilton, where we've been a city for a long time, and we have a history in this city of municipal government. You may like it, you may not like it, but when people in this community, some of whom now have been here their whole lives, some came as refugees, some came as immigrants, are living in fear like many people are in the Jewish community, let's just say it, then we have to ask the question if there's enough recognition, because it might just be the Jewish community today. Who's next? I'm not saying that there will be, but the governments on all the levels are not showing the attention, the attitude, or the interest in safety of the public. And right now in Canada, unfortunately, I cannot believe at the age of 71, I started this podcast. We've done a few of them. It's because I don't know if my children and grandchildren can stay here being Jewish. I should never, ever have to have that thought. And yet, I'm willing to bet I'm not the only one. And when I speak to people in other communities who are not Jewish, they're having the same thought. So I have to ask, what the hell is our government doing to make sure that the public is safe? What are they doing to control immigration? And what are the rules for the refugees? And how do you, in this day and age, see different community leaders, see different community organizations, see Bathurst and Shepherd streets in Toronto every Sunday with demonstrations of people covering their faces and yelling for the death of fellow citizens in this country? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We asked Gustavo to come out because he is a leader in the Jewish community. There are many. None of us should ever have to think about any of this. We're law-abiding, good people. Starting to get revved up now. When we talk about growing anti-Semitism, and you can read the statistics, it's never been higher. And yet the reaction to it from the federal government, quite frankly, is to not comment. I'm sorry, it's true, and it's been going on for the last 10 years at least. So, Canadians, I start to wonder about policies of governments and where they really are in the protection of people. I have to say, too, that recently, our government, very recently, decided to recognize the Palestinian state, not with parliamentary procedure, not with a requirement of safety for the Jewish community here. And I don't know what the Jewish community in North America, by the way, has to do with what's going on in Israel and Gaza, by the way. So I'm not sure why our government is allowing Jewish people to be attacked in the way that they are. But the decision to recognize a Palestinian state, Gustavo, would you want to comment on that, please?
Listen, I'm not going to say something very original, but we all know that it's not the moment to do it. Okay, it's not the moment to recognize a Palestinian state when we're in the middle of the war, when there's like hostages still there, and when the message is we are going to give this gift to Hamas actions and we're going to recognize the state. I think that I think that it's a valid conversation to recognize the state, for the Palestinians to live in peace without bothering Israelis and Jewish people. It's great, they deserve it. But they have some obligations. They have Jewish people for almost 800 days. It's crazy. And they have to be responsible for that. Now, it's not the moment to do it. I think that there's time to have a conversation, but not right now. I think that the support of the world support, I'm very idealistic, but I mean, everyone should ask to end the war by having the hostages back. And this is, I don't know, all what you see, especially on the youth, and university students. I mean, repeating stuff that they don't have any idea. They don't have any information about the history of not only Israel, but not only Israel when it was recognized in 1948, but before that. There's some lack of education, information. They know that they know, they think that they know everything. They didn't read any full report or anything, to have a better understanding of what's the reality for both countries, not only the Palestinians. So I think that at one point, it would be great to have two countries where they can live together, like live in peace in the same part of the world together there. But it's not a gift that Canada should give right now, because there's a lot of questions. I mean, what state are you recognizing? What is the capital of the state? Who is the government of the state? I mean, Canada has this policy not to negotiate with terrorist organizations. Okay, so they are not negotiating with them. They are giving a paper saying that we recognize a country for you. That honestly, Neil, at the same time, means nothing. The only thing that they did by recognizing the state is creating more division in our community, is isolating the communities in Canada more. Because the truth is, like, okay, so Canada is recognizing the state. What happened after? What's it's creating more damage. It's bringing more, promote more hate, more violence. I don't know why they did it, to be honest. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me. But again, if you go back to history, to go back to the 90s in Germany, an entire country voted for Hitler, correct? People really thought that it's going to be a solution. Then they pay the price. So he was elected. It was a democratic election. So I don't know. And we also learn from that time of the year that whatever starting with the Jewish people never finish with the Jewish people. There's going to be someone else. During the Holocaust, we have the handicapped people, the gypsies, the Jehovah's Witnesses, LGBTQ community. So everyone was affected by that. Started with the Jews, never finished, never ends with us. So I don't know what has to happen here in Canada for people to understand that.
Let me jump in here, because recently we had former Liberal MP Dan McTeague on. And he talked about this, and he talks about the fact that there are many more people who will vote, who will not stand with Israel in this country than there are Jews to vote. And that may be at play here. But the truth of the matter is, folks, the story and the truth is not getting out. We've had discussions here about how the media, I don't believe that any media should be paid for by any government. I don't care who the government is, but it is. And the truth is not getting out. Like, are you aware that Israel left Gaza in 2005 at great pain? Everybody was pulled out. There have been no Jews living in Gaza, no Israelis since 2005. Those people living there had the right to build their country. And that's 20 years. Well, we know what they were building now under the leadership of Hamas. They were building for October 7th, 2023, to murder, rape, burn 1,200 plus Israelis and to cause a war, but nobody from Israel was in Gaza when they were attacked. The idea that there's a genocide going on there, dig deeper. It is nonsense being put on by the media that is being run by I don't know who, but it's not an honest media. And I will say one last thing before I step off my soapbox, and thank you, Gustavo. Our Prime Minister just happily announced that he sent $400 million to the Middle East. We don't know what percentage of that will actually arrive to help people. We hope it does. But history shows that the bulk of it will go to terrorism. will go to Hamas. And the question is, why was that money sent and what are the controls of it? So you have to understand, I'm not here tonight to beat the heck out of any particular government. I'm here to question with Gustavo, who leads a community in our country, and there's only 400,000 of us. Why are we living like this in our country after having been here since before this country was even built? Gustavo, there's another thing that I wonder about. Our two greatest allies in Canada are the United States of America. Don't give me the Trump stuff, folks. We have a long, wonderful history with the United States, and it will continue. But did you know that our only official ally in the Middle East is Israel? Yet the government here has turned their back on the state of Israel. So I'm asking the question, Gustavo, I wonder how all of this filters down to we Jewish people in Hamilton and across Canada having to feel threatened and uncomfortable. It's illogical.
It is. At the same time, I have to admit that I think at the past 2 years, I see a change in the Jewish community. I think that we are more united. I think that we are start to be stronger. I always say to everyone that the best way to fight anti-Semitism is but not being intimidated, not hide ourselves, be proud, and do more Jewish things. And I think that's happening. Like we couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember, Neil, where someone tried to cancel our Jewish Film Festival. We fight for it, we have it, and since then is a unfortunately something like that has to happen in order to be a much better festival every year, and more people are coming every year. But I think that it's affecting. It's like for the first time, a lot of people. I heard conversations. I heard community members and friends of mine saying, "Okay, the two words, Plan B." No, I never heard about that since I moved to Canada. For me, moving to Canada was my Plan B. So because I left Argentina in a very, very difficult economic and political situation, was a couple of years after the terrorist attack in the community center, in the Jewish community center in Buenos Aires. So for me, it's alarming to think that something like that will have to happen here in order for the government, in order for the people to react of the danger. When something like that happens, it's going to be very, very late. And I remember for me waking up the day after October 7th, and I really has this is something that I share with many community members. I cry. I really cry. I was lost. I didn't know what to do because my biggest fear is like what we will do if something like this happen in Hamilton. Who will be with us? Who will protect us? Who is helping us? And that was always my biggest concern. And to be honest, if I have to answer today, I know there is a lot of people with us, but I don't know what kind of support or what kind of help we'll receive from other organizations.
Let me ask you, Gustavo. The police, however, you've told me, have been very responsive when there's possibly been a challenge. And I've heard from other community leaders and other Jewish communities across country that the police are there. They're doing the best that they can in most instances. But I wonder about our relations with other communities right in Hamilton or right across Canada. And I'm wondering if you could comment on do we have relations with non-Jewish communities who are friendly with us? Have things changed?
It's difficult. I have to be very careful what to say and to whom, and I have to think twice who I'm talking to. I'm involved in many organizations that group together different minorities and different communities. I'm part of the Hamilton Police team review cases, that where members of all different minorities are represented. So it's a very important job. It's very meaningful, but you have to be very careful. I remember working with the Board of Education, the public Board of Education in Hamilton. It's not easy. It's really not easy. We try to create that connection. You try to create a good relationship with them, but there's a limit. They can do until here. You cannot ask more. This saying that, well, we have to be equal to everyone, so we cannot do that for you and for them. So it's always those kind of conversation. So, and listen, unfortunately, I think that I hope that after October 7, I know with the new deal will be accepted by Hamas in the next couple of days, whatever is going to happen. I hope that after all this difficult time, we can have a conversation with the Muslim community in Hamilton to reorganize the interfaith dialogue that unfortunately it's not happening with that group. We have a great relationship with other groups, with many churches, many allies, many supporters. But I think that it's an important work that we have to focus as soon as the situation improve a little bit.
I have to say, though, as we sort of wind this down, Gustavo, and thank you for this, I don't want to leave the impression that Jewish community members across this country are walking outside with our heads down and grave fear, feeling completely unprotected. I think that would not be a truism. But it is the fact, like you said, Gustavo, of wondering if something will happen, concern for our rabbis, for our leaders, as any community is for their religious leaders and should be. And yet, none of us in any community should ever be thinking about this. And yet, we have in Hamilton a beautiful building. We have a beautiful museum. We have the Margaret's Legacy. We have smiling children and camps and terrific relationships with many of our local politicians, such as Dan Muse and certainly other people in our community with all different parties. So we don't want to give the wrong impression. So nobody should think that we feel that we're in a war ourselves, unless I'm wrong, Gustavo. But at the same time, everybody should be concerned for how this has changed and how crimes are happening.
We have to be aware that we are in a unique situation. Okay, let's put it that way. We have to be aware that we have to be extra careful in many, many situations. But at the same time, I'm not going to stop expressing my Jewish life. I'm not going to stop going to the synagogue. We shouldn't. And I think that is extra care that we have to take for now. But if you ask my opinion, my optimism, I think that this is going to be good for us. I think that we are going to be stronger, united. We learn from this, because the truth is that Israel wasn't ready, but the diaspora wasn't ready to deal with the aftermath of October 7. We were not ready. This was a surprise for everyone. And I think that we're learning a huge amount for this experience. But it's going to be for a better Jewish future, not for a bad one.
Yes, and we want to have wonderful relations with everybody. And as you said earlier, and all through this whole podcast, the theme is a peaceful relationship between two countries in the Middle East. If there is a Palestine and there is Israel, just like Israel is doing trade and has peace agreements long-standing with other Arabic countries, and there's a growing relationship through the Abraham Accords, I have to believe that done properly, that everybody can make the Middle East the biggest economic bloc together in the world, actually. And I don't know why everybody's deciding to throw rockets at each other and this may seem simplistic, but people could be doing economics and be bringing
Yeah.
beautiful lives to everybody's life. Every human life is important and should be protected. But I do want to say one last thing. This is going to sound like it's negative, but I want to just mention one concern that I have, Gustavo. And I'm going to call out the government right now. This is me, Gustavo, not necessarily you, but I'm going to call out this government and remind everybody that a Jewish MP named Anthony Housefather wrote a paper about stopping anti-Semitism, about stopping the growth of it. He went to his liberal colleagues, and only 31 liberal MPs would sign this paper to end anti-Semitism out of 169 of them. The Prime Minister did not sign, and I have to say this, a government of Canada is supposed to support and help all communities, all Canadians, and I leave it with you just to think about that and to please realize that we Jewish people are not going away. We will continue to be part of a great fabric, which includes everybody, every community, everybody in this podcast. Gustavo, I want to thank you for coming on. I don't know if you have any other comments that you would like to make.
No, I would like to thank you for the invitation. I think it's great to have this conversation. I think we have to really make an extra effort. And I would say not only for the non-Jewish people, but also for ourselves. We have to be properly
Yes.
educated. We have to read as much as we can, different opinions, different papers. Make sure that we can take our own conclusions of the issues, and be educated and help educate others. I think that's a moral obligation that we have. And then they can take their own conclusion. They can decide what to believe. But I think that people, like I said at the beginning, people has to read, people has to learn, people has to get informed and not be making decisions by TikTok or whatever Instagram post they read in 2 seconds.
Agreed. And I would also say that we all have a right, every single one of us in this country, to expect our leaders, our government leaders, those in charge of our safety to provide it, to do what it takes to make this a happy, healthy country where economics work and people can move forward in their lives. Gustavo, you do that every single day in your work.
Thank you.
And I think that the majority of people would like that happen. We just have to, as Canadians, remember what a great country we have, and we don't have time for all this criminal
But you know what?
nonsense
We have a
going
great
on.
city. I think Hamilton is a great city to be. It's an amazing Jewish community. And I'd like to add something to your comment about Housefather letter. We have to give the credit where the credit deserves to be. One of our MPs, like John Paul Denko, is one of the ones who signed that petition too. So that's a good thing to share. It's our representative for the government. He's helping us. Listen, we like the liberal government to do the same like the Conservative Party did, that the entire group signed the petition, okay, or sign a letter. Will be great. But I think that we have to take the positive, the small things that are positive things, and for us to be working with an MP who signed that petition on our behalf or to support us.
Yes.
It's a very good and positive things. We did something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if will happen before.
I hope that we never have to have a letter like that
Exactly.
circulate
Yeah.
again. It's absurd that we had one. It's absurd that the Conservatives, and they all signed but felt that they had to do a letter like that. And I will say this, there are very many good and wonderful people in the government, irrespective of the party. I'm not meaning to pick on any. I'm just questioning certain
For sure.
activities of the government. But in general, heck, I worked in politics. I met people in every party. I have yet to meet a bad person, to be
Yeah.
honest with
Yeah.
you. So, Gustavo, thank you. Bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. To the community who's watching this podcast, This wasn't to come out and say, we poor Jews. No, what we were saying is we're a part of this country, we're part of the history, we're the part of the future, and together we can all work together and turn Canada into the amazing, shining, beautiful gem that Canada is.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Gustavo.
much, and Khatima Tova to you and your family. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you. And everybody, we'll be back again in the near future on the Your Gray Matters podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. If you found it interesting and you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you're ready to subscribe, click right here. And if you'd like to see another episode, click right here. Tell a friend. Send us comments. Thanks a lot.